35, we got some function notation. I see h plus g, but it's -8. So these first three have numbers, so they're going into, -8 is going into both functions. It's not like this. -7 will not be going into both functions because this is a composition. But -8 will go into both of these functions, and then we will just add them. So really what we've got is h of -8 plus g of -8. Okay? Now don't let the notation scare you. You just have to figure out what you do when you plug it in. Now just think about, that is a pretty important thing to understand when you put an input into a formula. We use formulas all the time in life, or at least I do, even outside of the math classroom. I do it all the time. This is going to be 64 minus 40, which is going to be 22. Okay, so this is the only one, I believe, oh, sorry, 24. This is the only one where you had to type in the answer, so this is actually going to be 12, positive 12. Okay, so now 0 goes into both functions, and it looks like f of 0 minus g of 0 would give me 0 plus 2 is 2, minus 0 here plus 3 is 3, so my answer is -1. Okay, now we're going to multiply the two functions together, so h of -2 times g of -2. Let's see what that is. H of -2, put that in, that's positive 4 minus 1 is 3, times -2 here, -2 there is -8, plus -10 is -18. So multiply those two and you will get -54. Alright, now we actually have multiply. Now this one looks like a tough one. This could be, you have to plug in a 4 plus n into each one of those and then multiply it. So this one is the g. Okay, I'm sorry, the f. This is the f function. Okay, so notice how I plugged it in right there at the a, right there. That's going to equal 8 plus 2n minus 5, and that's going to equal 2n plus 3. Okay, now it's weird, but plugging a 4 plus n into this function will turn it into a 2n plus 3. Alright, now for a g of 4 plus n, we're going to have to first of all square this guy, then subtract it. Okay, so there's plenty of room for you to make mistakes here, but don't just skip the problem or guess, just give it a shot. 16, because remember I got 4n minus n times 4n minus n, that's what this is. So 16 minus 8n plus n squared minus 4 minus n. So this is going to give us n squared. Those two will combine for a -n, 9n, and then those two will combine for positive 12. Now we're not factoring these, we are multiplying them. So I have 2n squared, I'm sorry, 2n plus 3 times n squared minus 9n plus 12. Let's see if I made any mistakes here. 2n to the third minus 18n squared plus 24n. 1, 2, 3. Now I'm going to do this guy, plus 3n squared minus 27n plus 36. Okay, now I do notice that 36 is the only one that's there. The tail is 2 to the n to 2n to the third, and so it's got to be this guy. Do these add up to negative? That would be a negative 17. Negative, ooh man, we screw that up. Yeah, it looks like those two terms, looks like I probably messed that up somewhere. It's got got to be b, but I'm wondering what I did wrong here. That's be -3 instead of 27. I'll go ahead and go backtrack, but I do know that you can pretty much check those two, and that's going to be the case. I'm wondering if that -9 is kind of messed up. It could be. Let's see. -8. Oh, because it's plus. Yeah, so that should be a 7. And then since that's a 7, this would be 7. So that would be 21. And then that would be a 14. Okay. And that'd be, yeah, anyways, it's getting closer. All right, I don't want to waste the time on the video, but I made a mistake in here somewhere. So I can redo that and make a separate video. All right, 6 is going into both of them, and then you'll divide it. So negative, now notice the negative is on the outside, so 6 is just going to go where the x is. Okay, so watch out for that. Okay, now this is f of 6. Okay, equals this, and g of 6 equals just 6 minus 4, so that's 2. Now this is going to be -36 plus 2 plus 12, that's 14, so I'm getting 16, but that's probably not right. Let me, man, oof. -36 plus 2 plus 12, that's 14. What is 36 and 22? Okay, but it's going to be negative. So -22 it's going to be divided by 2. So that's -11. Alright, composite functions are a little different. We're going to plug -7 into the f function first. So f of -7 equals -3 times -7 minus 1. That gives us 21 minus 1, which is 20. Then we take the 20. Now that's the 20 that's going into the g. So now we got 2 times 20 is 40. 40 plus 1 is 41. Okay? Because now we're taking the 20, and that's going into right there. Alright, now we got a notation written a little differently. This is the way that makes a lot more sense. The g is going into the f. So this means that we will write down the f function as something -3. And then we take this guy and plug it in. So x to the third plus 5x squared minus 3 is just exactly that. It is itself. There's nothing to combine. Here we've got the h going into the g. So here's the g. The g just takes something and adds 2. And we're going to go ahead and just put that h in there. And that's 3a plus 2. And that's that. 43. We're putting the g into the f, so let's make the outer shell. You take 2, multiply it to whatever's coming in, and then you subtract 3. So we're just going to take the g function and put it right in there, t minus 3. And now we can distribute 2t minus 6 minus 3. So that is going to equal 2t minus 9. Alright, and then finally, h is going into this function. So 3 parentheses minus 2. I'm going to put this whole h inside that function. Okay, I don't see that here, so it looks like I probably had to multiply. Okay, and none of these are like terms, and so it looks like this right here is our final answer. Okay, so now I want to find the inverse, so I'm going to swap the x equals -5y minus 10. So I have to solve for y, so x plus 10 equals -5y, then divide by -5. Okay, can't have a negative sign in the denominator, so we will have -1/5 x minus 2 equals y. So let's see what we got here. It looks like what they did is they just left it right here. So that negative sign will go to the top, so they didn't actually take it to this step. They just stopped right here and just made those two negative. Okay, so now we're going to go ahead and swap that out. Y equals 4/3, oh no, I'm sorry, x equals 4/3 y minus 7/3. If you don't like the fractions, you'll notice that they both have a common denominator of 3. So let's multiply everything by 3. And now you don't have to worry about it. Okay, so let's solve for y. So add 7. Okay, and then divide by 4. Okay, now it looks like that's the guy right there because they just split the 4 underneath both of them. There's our 3x plus 7, but we're dividing both terms by 4. Okay, so now this guy, we're going to go y. We're going to swap the y with the x. Okay, now I definitely am going to cube this guy because in order to get rid of the cubed root, I need to cube it. But I do have to move that 3 over to the other side. So he's going to become x plus 3 equals the cubed root of y. But now let's cube both sides. So if I cube both sides, I will get y by itself now. And x plus 3 to the third power is just x plus 3 to the third power. Okay, notice that the notation is h inverse. Okay, almost finished here. Let's go x equals -3 plus 6/5y. We're going to add positive 3, 6/5, and then we're going to multiply by 5/6. 5/6. Now maybe this is the answer here. Not quite it. This is getting close. Let's distribute this guy. Okay, so 5/6 times 3 is 15/6. Okay, 15/6, and you can actually reduce that fraction so that it is 5/2. So 5/6x plus 5/2 is right here. That is the inverse. Okay, if we want to graph these inverses, let's graph the original function, -5, and if you have forgotten to graph a line, learn. You can't forget that on the SAT. Like it's going to destroy your grade if you do not know how to graph a line. So make sure you know how to graph a line. We start at -5. This tells us our slope. So we go down 5/4, but we are off our grid, so we're going to go backwards. We're actually going to go over 4, but we're going to go up 5. Okay, and that means that I do have my slope that's negative. Okay. Now I want to graph the inverse. So what you can do is just calculate the inverse. Let's go x equals -5/4y minus 5, and we'll go x plus 5 equals -5/4y. We're going to multiply both sides by -5/4. Okay, so what is that? We have a slope of -5/4, and it should be 4/5. So I think I messed up. 4/5. -4/5. So that's going to be -4. Okay, so now we're going to go to -4, and we're going to actually go to a -4/5. I just want to make sure it's negative. Is it? Yeah, okay. So 4/5, -4, so we're going to have to go over here. Okay, right about there. Okay, you can see by the diagonal that we should have symmetry that goes right around here. My graph is very sloppy, so is my line of symmetry, but they should be intersecting right there. Okay. Alright, negative 2, and then negative 5 is right here. And let's graph the inverse. Move that guy over here. Plus 2 equals negative 5y. Divide both sides by negative 5. You will get negative 1/5 x minus 2 over 5. Minus 2 over 5 is going to be pretty close. It's pretty small here. So if we graph this right, over 5, something like that. Alright, and again, you should see some symmetry right along the spine there. Alright.